and unwavering commitment to their duty. On behalf of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, I extend sincere appreciation to everyone who has made this event possible, and to each of you for being here. It is now my pleasure to invite the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton, to deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa Mackenzie, CD, Master of Ceremonies and Chief Medical Officer. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, ON, PCMP, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Mr. Mark Golding, Leader of the Parliamentary Opposition. The Honorable Fable Williams, I don't see her, but she may be on her way. Ms. Nicola Brown, Director of Nursing Services, National Chest Hospital. Other distinguished ladies and gentlemen who are in the audience, good morning to you all. We gather today to remember and to honor with deepest thanks the commitment and sacrifice of the healthcare workers we lost to COVID-19. This monument, a structure made of concrete and of steel that we are to unveil momentarily, stands as an enduring symbol of their dedication, but also of their bravery in service to the people of Jamaica. You may recall, ladies and gentlemen, that the experience of COVID-19 was at once terrifying and uncertain to us all. Yet these men and women, our healthcare heroes, all put their lives on the line, pushing through the fear and through the uncertainty to preserve health and to save the lives of others. Each name etched on gold plates and mounted on porcelain tiles represents a life of service. These were doctors, nurses, male attendants, patient care assistants, mental health officers, cooks, midwives, cashiers, all healthcare workers who put service above self and who made the ultimate sacrifice. These workers stood by bedsides and encouraged patients when their loved ones could not, prepared meals, delivered babies, sanitized facilities, looked after the well-being of all. They went above and beyond the call of duty, for which we should be eternally grateful. To their loved ones here today, there are no words to fill the void that they have left behind. I trust, however, that you know that while your loved ones, our colleagues, may be gone, they will never be forgotten. What is more, their legacy endures in the lives that were saved through their efforts, in the memories of the moments shared on and off the job, and in the inspiration that fuels our efforts as a Ministry of Health and Wellness and as the government of Jamaica to continue to honor and to celebrate these healthcare heroes. This near 10 feet tall monument, which you will see momentarily, is not merely a memorial. It is also a promise to continue to honor the sacrifice of our healthcare heroes by building stronger healthcare systems and continuing to support those who serve on the front lines. It is my hope that this place can be one where reflection happens, where we are reminded to be grateful, and where we recommit ourselves to realizing a better future in public health for all, at all ages. Further, and perhaps most importantly, I trust that it can be a place where the heroes we lost are always remembered and their sacrifices always honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. At this time, I would want us to stand in a moment of silent reflection and salute to our healthcare heroes who have given their service and sacrifice to help Jamaica maneuver this once-in-a-100-year crisis. Please stand. Okay, thank you. Let us sit. We want to take a moment to reflect through the power of music. I'm sure that during COVID, a lot of persons' music sustained them. I think a lot of us rediscovered ourselves in music during that time. And this performance is particularly meaningful as it is presented by members of our laboratory community, who played an essential role in Jamaica's COVID-19 response. Today, as we honor the sacrifices of our fallen healthcare work heroes, we also recognize the critical work of those who made silent yet indispensable contributions behind the scenes. Please enjoy this performance by the National Public Health Laboratory Lab Ensemble.
Good morning, everyone.
Now I'm standing here, my heart so full yeah. But when you're blinded by your fears, can see your way clear through the rain. A small but still resilient voice says help is very near. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is red, it's hard to care. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will. Somehow you will. You will when you believe. You will when you will when you believe. Just believe.
Yes, so beautiful and so appropriate. There can be miracles when you believe. I think every life saved during COVID was a miracle. And unfortunately, some persons were lost as a result of us saving those lives. And I believe, Prime Minister, Minister, we move mountains. So I really think very appropriate. I got goosebumps when I was listening to your song. Thank you so much. This occasion and date, do we know what date it is? March the 10th. Always will hold a very significant place in our minds when we hear that date, March the 10th. It marks the 5th anniversary of the first confirmed case of COVID-19 in our nation. And we tied in the vaccines, so it's actually the 4th anniversary of the commencement of the administration of the vaccines. This moment, we hope, will serve as a lasting tribute to the healthcare workers who made the ultimate sacrifice during the pandemic. I want to thank our Prime Minister and our keynote speaker, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, ONPC MP, for his presence at this occasion and his leadership during the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct privilege to invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, to address us.
First, let me commend the National Public Health Lab Ensemble. I forgot that they were medical professionals for a moment because they performed so well. And let me acknowledge your Master of Ceremony, the distinguished Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa-McKenzie. And I do recall the night of the 9th of March, 5 years ago, when our Minister of Health, Dr. Christopher Tufton, made that fateful call to me to alert me that we could potentially have our first case of COVID-19. I had always prepared myself for that call since we first got note of this brewing pandemic in February of 2019. And so it didn't come as a surprise. But there are things that it's going to come, but you still feel, almost like a gut-wrenching pain when it was told to me that, yes, Jamaica had its first case. There was no panic, but like everything else that it is unknown and uncertain, you had a kind of foreboding sense. But the administration steeled itself. We were prepared, and we were able to mobilize and address the challenge in a very creditable way in almost all aspects of the management of the pandemic. So I believe that today's function is a fitting recognition for the people who served and who sacrificed. So let me further acknowledge Mr. Mark Golding, leader of the opposition. Minister Favour Williams, I'm sure, would have been here were it not that she is preparing her budget presentation. Let me also acknowledge the Most Honorable Denise Eldermeyer Shearer, the Executive Director of the Mona Aging and Wellness Center. And let me also personally commend you. You played a critical role in caring for our seniors during COVID, and at the same time, giving advice to the government about what we should and should not do. And if I may, at this juncture, say to our seniors who faithfully abided by the stay-at-home rules, I know some of them complained bitterly, but they complied. And I believe because of that, we were able to have a very low rate of impact of the pandemic on our seniors. Let me acknowledge the representatives from the various ministries and agencies who are here, members of the diplomatic corps who are here, our specially invited guests, especially our healthcare workers and the families of the heroes that we salute today, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a good morning. Today, we gather in solemn remembrance and profound gratitude. This monument, which we will unveil together, is not merely a structure of stone and metal. It represents the courage, dedication, and sacrifice of the healthcare workers who stood on the front lines during one of the most challenging periods in our nation's recent history. When COVID-19 reached our shores 5 years ago, bringing uncertainty and fear, it was our doctors, nurses, patient care assistants, hospital attendants, technicians, support staff, and other healthcare professionals who rose to the occasion. In the face of overwhelming odds, that is the most devastating pandemic in a century, they stood firm on the front line, in our front line of defense, and did not falter. They put their duty above their fears, their patients above their own well-being, and in doing so, they saved countless lives. Today, we pay tribute not just to their service, but to their selfless sacrifice and unwavering dedication. We honor those who did not return home to their families, those who gave their last measure of devotion in the line of duty, those whose names are now etched on this monument so that generations to come will remember their heroism. We must always remember that these are names of mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, friends and colleagues. They were Jamaicans who gave everything to protect their community. As a nation, we owe them more than a monument. We owe them a commitment to never take for granted the sacrifices by those who serve. We owe them our dedication to strengthening our healthcare system, ensuring that our families, workers, are never placed in harm's way without the resources and support they need. We must build a stronger future for Jamaica in their honor. And to do this, we must strengthen our economic resilience. Now, some may wonder why at times economic matters seem to dominate our national conversation, or why is it that I bring economic matters into all elements of our national conversations? Well, the answer is that economic resilience translates to resilience of every aspect of our governance, including our healthcare system, in our education system, in our security forces, but most importantly, in our ability to respond to crisis. If our economy isn't doing well, we cannot respond adequately and effectively to crises. The pandemic exposed vulnerabilities that we have since worked tirelessly to address. Because of the difficult but necessary economic reforms we have undertaken, Jamaica is now better prepared for future shocks, whether it is another pandemic, a natural disaster, or a global economic downturn. Today, our healthcare sector is stronger. It is stronger in terms of the infrastructure. It is stronger in terms of the number of professionals that we have. We still need to pay some attention to remuneration and care. Yes, I'm seeing the nods, not hearing the claps, but... So I know it's a statement for which there is some amount of agreement. But we're working on both. Remuneration, for which the professionals will be very interested in. But the general public is also interested in the care element, for which the professionals are also interested. And I think we're going to have this open conversation about care in healthcare, because it is really a challenge for many Jamaicans. It's a difficult conversation because you always have to be paying attention to the remuneration, to the infrastructure, to the facilities, to the supplies and resources. But, you know, care is from the heart. And I think what the public is saying is that we need to see more heart in healthcare. That's, I think, is a good synopsis of the public position. But, of course, the balance is always that the professionals need resources and proper remuneration. And I think the government understands this delicate balance, and we're trying to do both, which is why a strong economy is so important. I think I've made that point. So the pandemic did expose us to serious challenges, but we were able to respond. And the response was not just to the pandemic. The response continues even now. And we have been able to increase investment in healthcare significantly. When Minister Tufton comes to speak in the sectoral debate, I'm sure that he will outline the massive investments that we have made in addition to new plans and in addition to plans to increase the care and heart in healthcare. This means that the next time Jamaica faces a crisis, and there will be another crisis, we just don't know what it is going to be or when it will be, but whenever it is, we are in a better position to respond to crises. It is out of a commitment to strengthening the healthcare system and to strengthen the healthcare workforce that we launched the Dr. Barry Wint Memorial Scholarship in 2024, investing $2.5 billion to support 607 students pursuing studies in medical technology, nursing, biomedical engineering, and other critical health-related fields. This initiative honors the legacy of Dr. Wint and the critical role that our healthcare workers play in national development. But more importantly, it ensures that we are building a robust pipeline of professionals dedicated to service in the health sector. And this is a solid commitment of how the government is dealing with building resilience in the system, supporting our professionals, and at the same time ensuring that we can deliver health care with care. In 2022, we declared July as Healthcare Workers Appreciation Month, a time set aside to recognize the selfless contribution of those who carried us through the crisis. But our appreciation cannot be confined to a single month or a single event. It must be reflected in how we value and support our healthcare professionals every single day. To the families of the fallen, I know that no words can fill the space left, especially for your loved ones. But know this, their legacies live on. It lives on in the patients they healed, the lives they touch, and now in the monument we are about to unveil. So as we pay tribute today, let us renew our vow to honor those heroes that gave their lives to save ours. Let us commit to a Jamaica where those who dedicate their lives to caring for others are themselves cared for. Let us also commit to upholding the values these healthcare workers have embodied: care, compassion, resilience, and unity. In their action and sacrifice, they made a choice. They chose Jamaica's welfare over their own. They chose Jamaica. May their souls, the souls of our dearly departed heroes and heroines, rest in peace, knowing that they will always be honored in the heart of the nation. God bless you, and thank you.
As we prepare to unveil the monument in honor for healthcare workers, I invite their family members to stand and to be specially acknowledged. We will also share a rose with you that you can lay at the monument as you remember and honor your loved one. And when I see the beam on their faces, I know that they are truly happy, even though they, of course, will miss their loved ones. But I know that I could feel a sense that you're truly happy for the contribution that they have made. Thank you again so much. And, you know, at this time, I'm going to take an MC privilege and just to say that I really want to thank the Prime Minister for the confidence that you've placed in the technical services and the healthcare workers. And I'm going to share a story, Prime Minister. Not many people hear a lot of COVID stories from me, but I remember when we had before March the 10th, when we had the meeting with the prime ministers, the CARICOM prime ministers, concerning the cruise ship industry. And that meeting, Minister, myself, and P.S. Bryan were invited to attend. And it was a virtual meeting, and there were all the CARICOM prime ministers and all the stalwarts in the cruise ship industry. And Jamaica was asked to share our position because we were having the meeting because Jamaica had a very strong position on what was not to come into our country. And the Prime Minister said, well, our CMO is here. Let her tell you what the story is. And we laid out some things. We wanted their temperature to be checked. We wanted them to be examined. We wanted them to be tested before they came in. And everybody was just like, impossible. Jamaica is being ridiculous. That was the sentiment of the meeting. You know, and we were almost scoffed at, almost. You know, interestingly, these are all measures that they brought in later. And I think it was Prime Minister Motley that was chairing the meeting. And she turned to Prime Minister Holness and said, so Prime Minister, what is your position? And the Prime Minister said, well, we are going to do whatever the CMO says. And it was not just the CMO, but it was the representation of healthcare workers and the technical services. And I think that confidence, sir, that you placed on the sector really helped to drive us and to give us confidence, not just to get us through, but, you know, to ensure that we did our part in making it work. Thank you. Okay. So now we are at the unveiling of the healthcare workers COVID-19 monument. And this monument stands as a symbol of sacrifice, resilience, and national gratitude. As we unveil it, we honor the names etched in its stone, names that represent lives devoted to care and service. I invite our distinguished guests to join in unveiling of the monument, led by our Prime Minister, Professor Shearer, our opposition leader, Mr. Golding, and Minister. So we will move over to the monument to unveil and to lay the tributes.